Hello students, this is me Saurabh, English faculty of Mount Literacy School, and this is our third part of the chapter The Red Trap, which is going to bring the conclusion of the chapter. Here we completed up till here in the previous video where when he decided to move to the Iron Master's house with Edla Wilmanson. Now, students, we have to start further part of the story. Let's begin. Now, this fellow was again, that means, caught into a trap. The next day was Christmas Eve, and when the Iron Master came into the dining room for breakfast, he probably thought with satisfaction of his old regimental comrade whom he had run across so unexpectedly. So, what actually happened that Wilmanson told to his daughter that first of all we must see to it that he gets a little flesh on his bones. So like this, Iron Master told to his daughter, who was busy at the table. And then he said, and then we must see that he gets something else to do than to run around the country selling red traps. So on listening to this, girl said, it is queer that things have gone downhill with him as badly as that. So this was the gossip between a father and a daughter. And now, so what actually happened after then? Last night I did not think there was anything about him to show that he had once been an educated man. So now the gossip is continuously going on between father and daughter. So now father said, you must have patience, my little girl, said the father. As soon as he gets clean and dressed up, you will see something different. Last night he was naturally embarrassed. The tramp manners will fall away from him with the tramp clothes. Just as he said this, the door opened, and now finally the stranger entered. Who is now was truly clean and well dressed. The valet had bathed him, cut his hair, and shaved him. Moreover, he was dressed in a good-looking suit of clothes, which belonged to the Iron Master. He wore a white shirt and a starched collar, and whole shoes. But although his guest was now so well groomed, the Iron Master did not seem pleased. Now you can just imagine, students, that why this Iron Master is having something in his mind. Because why he was not so pleased? Because the reason was there. He looked at him with puckered brow, and it was easy to understand that when he had seen the strange fellow in the uncertain reflection from the furnace, he might have made a mistake. But that now, when he stood there in broad daylight, it was impossible to make mistake for him for an old acquaintance. That means now everything was clear in front of Iron Master that was not his old friend. What does this mean? He thundered. The stranger made no attempt to dissimulate. He saw at once that the splendor had come to an end. It is not my fault, sir, that peddler said at that time. I never pretended to be anything but a poor trader, and I pleaded and begged to be allowed to stay in the forge. Forge means, students, again the same factory where he went or he reached first time, that means over there. Okay, but now no harm has been done. At worst I can put on my rags again and go away. Well, said the Iron Master, hesitating a little. It was not quite honest either. You must admit that, and I should not be surprised if the sheriff would like to have something to say in the matter. The tramp took a step forward and struck the table with the fist. Now I am going to tell you, Mr. Iron Master, how things are. He said, this whole world is nothing but a big rat trap. All the good things that are offered to you are nothing but cheese, rinds and bits of pokes, set out to drag a poor fellow into trouble. And if the sheriff comes now and locks me up for this, then you, Mr. Ryan Master, must remember that a day may come when you yourself may want to get a big piece of pork, and then you will get caught in the trap. Now the situation is changing, my dear students. Now you can just see that what Iron Master began to laugh. That was not so badly said, my good fellow. Perhaps we should let the sheriff alone on Christmas Eve, but now get out of here as fast as you can. But just as the man was opening the door, the daughter said, I think he ought to stay with us today. I don't want him to go. And with that, she went and closed the door. What in the world are you doing? Said the father. The daughter stood there, quite embarrassed and hardly knew what to answer, as that was a Christmas Eve. That morning she had felt so happy when she thought how home-like and Christmassy she was going to make things for the poor hungry wretch. She could not get away from the idea all at once, and that was why she had interceded for the vagabond. I am thinking of this stranger here, said the young girl. She was feeling mercy for that man actually. He walks and walks the whole year long, and there is probably not a single place in the whole country where he is welcome and can feel at home. Wherever he turns, he is chased away. Always he is afraid of being arrested and cross-examined. I should like to have him enjoy a day of peace with us here. Just one in the whole year. So this was asked by that small daughter. The Iron Master mumbled something in his beard. He could not bring himself to oppose her. It was all a mistake, of course, she continued. But anyway, I don't think we ought to chase away a human being whom we have asked to come here, and to whom we have promised Christmas cheer. So father, please let him be here, that means, and let him enjoy at least once in a year. You do preach worse than a person, said the Iron Master. I only hope you won't have to regret this. The young girl took the stranger by the hand and led him up to the table. Now sit down and eat, she said, for she could see that her father had given in. The man with the rat traps said not a word. He only sat down and helped himself to the food. So now here, students, time after time he looked at the young girl who had interceded for him. Why had she done it? What could the crazy idea be? After that, Christmas Eve at Ramsjo passed just as it always had. The stranger did not cause any trouble because he did nothing but sleep. The whole forenoon he lay on the sofa in one of the guest rooms and slept at one stretch. So now, what actually is going to happen then after that Christmas Eve? At noon, they woke him up so that he could have his share of the good Christmas fare, but after that he slept again. It seemed as though for many years he had not been able to sleep as quietly and safely as here at Ramsjo. In the evening, when the Christmas tree was lighted, they woke him up again, and he stood for a while in the drawing room, blinking as though the candle light hurt him. But after that, he disappeared once again from there. 2 hours later, he was aroused once more. He then had to go down into the dining room and eat the Christmas fish and porridge. As soon as they got up from the table, he went around to each one present and said, "Thank you and good night." But when he came to the young girl, she gave him to understand that it was her father's intention that the suit, which he wore was to be a Christmas present. He did not have to return it now. And if he wanted to spend next Christmas Eve in a place where he could rest in peace and be sure that no evil would befall him, he would be welcomed back again. The man with the rat traps did not answer anything to this, because he was knowing this thing that he don't know that where he will be at that time in the next year. So he only stared at the young girl in boundless amazement. The next morning, the ironmaster and his daughter got up in good season to go to the early Christmas service. Their guest was still asleep, and they did not disturb him. When at about 10 o'clock they drove back from the church, the young girl sat and hung her head even more dejectedly than usual, because now something was there in their mind. At church, she had learned that one of the old crofters of the ironworks had been robbed by a man who went around selling rat traps. And they are knowing this thing that that person is sleeping in their house right now. "Yes, that was a fine fellow you let into the house," said her father. "I only wonder how many silver spoons are left in the cupboard at this time." By this time, why? Because they were knowing that he is a thief and he is there in the house right now. So the wagon had hardly stopped at the front steps when the ironmaster asked the valet whether the stranger was still there. He added that he had heard at church that the man was a thief. The valet answered that the fellow had gone and that he had not taken anything with him at all. This was a point of surprise. Now ironmaster was surprised that what he must have taken then. On the contrary, what is going to happen next? See, students, now this one is something surprising and shocking for you all. He had left behind a little package with Miss Wilmanson, was to be kind enough to accept as a Christmas present. The young girl opened the package, which was so badly done up that the contents came into view at once. She gave a little cry of joy. Why? Because she found a small rat trap and in it lay 3 wrinkled 10-kroner notes. But that was not all. In the rat trap lay also a letter written in large jagged characters. And the letter is, "Honored and noble Miss, since you have been so nice to me all day long, as if I was a captain, I want to be nice to you. So in return, as if I was a real captain, I want to give you something, for I do not want you to be embarrassed at this Christmas season by a thief. But you can give back the money to the old man on the roadside, who has the money pouch hanging on the window frame as a weight for poor wanderers." So here he wants to say, by reading this letter, students, we can understand that how he is guilty about all his mistakes and for whatever he has done up till now. And see the further part of the letter. The rat trap is a Christmas present from a rat who would have been caught in this world's rat trap if he had not been raised to captain, because in that way he got power to clear himself. And that was written with friendship and high regard. High regard, Captain von Stelle. So he have written the name of that same captain by which name his father Wilmanson have called him. So now here students you can see that love of anyone can change you and can change your heart, your mind, your whole personality. So finally, this shows somewhere here that a man who was a thief and was doing that work from a long time has also now completely changed by coming in the company of that wonderful small girl. So here this was the story of a peddler who was selling his rat traps as well as also stealing the things, who was a thief. So now this was the third part of the story. So I have completed this story in 3 videos. So students, go through the videos and keep on learning and keep on revising the chapter for your board examination. Thank you so much. Till then, take care. We will meet again once again with the next video of the next chapter. Now, thank you so much.